All right, joining me now here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is Larry Bogad. Larry is an activist, a professor of political performance at UC Davis, and the author of the new book, Tactical Performance, The Theory and Practice of Serious Play. You can find it at lmbogad.com. Larry, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Matthew. I appreciate it.
All right, so Larry, let's begin by discussing what exactly do you mean by the term tactical performance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a term for me that a lot of times we use the phrase like guerrilla theater or just pranks or media pranks or hoaxes or street theater, these different things. And for me, tactical performance is just the category that includes all of these things. And it boils down to the idea of using our chops that we learn in the worlds of performance or theater to help out social movement campaigns, to be part of them and to contribute those skills. I think that there's skills that we learn in the theater or in performance art that I think can be of use to amplifying the voice of social movements or working as a little bit of a force multiplier, like a crowbar, during campaigns for human rights, civil rights, environmental justice, etc. Like, I do believe that what we're trying to do is communicate, recruit, expand, and these are things that, ideas from the theater like timing and surprise and dynamics and even sight lines and things like that can be really helpful in telling our stories more compellingly.
Well, so I guess let's kind of baseline question here. I mean, you went over it a little bit here, but kind of talk a bit about the benefits between tactical and conventional protest. Because again, we're it's 2016. Some protests you'll get tens of thousands of people and they barely get a blip on the news networks and stuff like that. So talk about kind of the benefits and kind of, I guess, because they both sort of need each other in some ways, but talk about the benefits of tactical in some instances over conventional protest.
Sure. I mean, I would agree. I think I like that you pointed out that we really need both. And you have to have if you don't have the basic, conventional grassroots organizing, you don't have a movement, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that to assist with that, to be an integrated part of it, to have creative or surprising actions or beautiful actions that help to tell your story, I think that it gets us outside of the usual corners or scenes that activist movements are very much part of, but to get outside of the usual crowd and reach out to people who maybe haven't engaged with an issue very closely, or who are oppositional, but their opposition could be softened through some kind of beautiful and surprising element to a protest. I think also when protest actions or campaigns are surprising, and I mean surprising in a good way, like playfully surprising and making you look at something artfully in a new way, I think that it's good for people inside the movement already, people who are already part of it, because we need, it's hard work, and it's not always sometimes it's hard, and we face burnout, and so I think to have actions that are fun or creative and they're fun to be part of in the first place, I think it's good for people inside the movement. It makes it more sustainable and creative. So I do think that, like it or not, though, I was going to make a point that we're performing anyway. Like, if we're not thinking of what we're doing out in the street or in town hall or in an occupation or what have you as performance, it's still a performance. We just might be missing opportunities to make it a really good performance. So I really appreciate what you said, Matthew, about sometimes you have an action that's tens of thousands of people, and maybe only the people inside of it know about it because the corporate media can ignore it all too easily. There's something nowadays about a huge mass of undifferentiated bodies that are just in the street that, the big media and big cable news or whatever, they can get away with ignoring it if they want to, or if their sponsors want them to. But when you do something like, I just have an example that I like to go to because I admire these folks very much, the folks who did the 1,000 Coffins action way back. Now that was an example of, you had many, many people in the street protesting the invasion of Iraq, right? and the beginning of the war. But what made it really mediagenic and gripping, amongst other elements, was folks saying, okay, the Bush administration has pretty much unconstitutionally forbidden people taking pictures of the flag-covered coffins coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. That's strange, and there's a battle in the courts to stop this unconstitutional executive order. But let's just perform the censored image. Let's create 1,000 coffins, cover them with flags, and march them through the streets. And it compellingly communicates, it gets around the censorship issue that we were really confronting. And perhaps more importantly, as soon as anyone saw that, they knew exactly what the point of all those people in the street was. And all of a sudden you had a lot of front page of every major newspaper showing the demonstrations with the coffins and in the media. And again, being covered in the media is not the only goal, but it does help to get the word out. And so there's something about creating a really powerful image like that I think it helps. It's like a crowbar, giving you some more leverage in the cultural sphere.